I think it's really important that you understand what ageLOC really means. It's a platform, it's a technology, it's not a product. That's the biggest problem, is people think it's a product, but it's not. It's a way of manufacturing and identifying nutrients by rubbing those ingredients over your DNA and precisely seeing the effect of the gene expression. Let me explain that in a bit more detail. I have 100 trillion cells. Within those cells I have DNA. And the DNA is about 2 meters in length. I unravel it like this. What was remarkable in 2003 was science, biologists and chemists and scientists sequenced the human genome. They worked out that there weren't millions of genes, there were 25,000 genes, more or less. And every gene has one function. That's to create proteins. It's very simple science here. So imagine my DNA within the heart, brain, mitochondria, which is how you manufacture energy. You can now manufacture to a very specific level. Let's look at that DNA, 2 meters in length, 25,000 genes. And when you're younger, your genes create proteins in a youthful expression. So in some places it's very vibrant, very active, and in other places more dormant. So you can see this kind of wave of gene expression. Let's photograph that within the mitochondria, for example. Now let's take same genes in the mitochondria 40, 50, 60, 30 years later. And what happens is those genes that were more youthful, that were creating like volcanic lava flow, like those proteins, okay, that were active are less active. They have a less youthful expression. Then the genes that were dormant when you were younger are now more active. They're older genes. But what if you could photograph then 30 years ago those genes when you're adolescent, in your teens and 20s and 30s and 40s, over 30 years photograph gene expression. This is what ageLOC is really all about. Identifying gene expression. Let's look at 18-year-old gene function and then 50-year-old gene function. And if you overlay the two photographs, a snapshot of those genes over one and the other, you can see there's a difference. Now, what if you rub ingredients over the genes and see if they affect the gene expression? Because we know ingredients affect the body genetically. Now we can identify, specifically look at the way certain nutrients like ginseng or cordyceps mushrooms or pomegranate that actually has energy benefits to the body. But not just energy, we can specifically see the genes that create energy and reset them. That's ageLOC platform. But here's the way it gets really interesting. Understand this next part and you'll be really excited, as we are, about this technology. There are over 20 varieties of ginseng, 20 varieties. But is it the 1st, the 13th, or the 20th that has the greatest effect on the DNA? Or is it the 1st year root, the 2nd year root, or the 7th year root of that ginseng that creates the greatest effect? Because we have now this body of evidence for 30 years, we can now rub ginseng, active ingredient, over our DNA and see it change, become more like it as it functioned when we were in a youthful expression when we were younger. And then, you know, the beauty of this technology is we can just use ginseng and then also look at pomegranate and look at cordyceps mushrooms, and rubbing the certain ingredients grown at a certain year, a specific amount, we can affect and literally reset gene expression so it virtually matches how it used to be when we were younger. We can do that to skin tissue and heart tissue, mitochondrial health. What's going to happen over the next 20 years is this technology is going to allow us to have products that function at a very different level to gene expression. So let's take this last concept. I munch on a cheeseburger and I eat whatever I like when I'm 18 years of age. I don't get fat, but at 45 years of age I do. What's happening? Our fat gene expression is changing. What if we could reset that fat gene expression? This is the promise of ageLOC. This is the opportunity that we have. And if you understand this concept, you can now show this video and explain to other people why it is that this new skin opportunity allows us to actually create a network based on products that no one in the world can compete with. You'd have to have 30 years of this scientific observation to know where to look for, know which ingredients to use to create products that are going to change the world.